Hey everybody. In this video, I'm going to talk real quick about a fast and easy way to chart. A lot of times people are looking like, what is charting? What does it include? Why does it take so much time? I'm going to give you a real quick, I won't call it down and dirty, but a real quick way to go ahead and chart. By the way, I'm Arlissa Pinkelton, educator to trader. And this is what we do. This is what we do. If you want to chart real quick before the market opens, or you're looking at a stock and you think, before I decide I'm going to enter a trade, I'm going to chart it first, this is what you need to do. First step you're looking at is doing some support and resistance, right? You want to chart some support and resistance. So let's get us a line here. You're looking for the places where the price came down and went back up, or it went up and reversed. First thing I want to mention though, even as we're looking for support and resistance, is you want to start, if you're trading for multiple days, you want to be on the daily chart. The daily chart means every one of these candles equals 1 day worth of data. Each candle is 1 day worth of data. So if you're doing over, you're going to trade this over 1 day, over 2 days, you're basically going to swing trade it, then you want to do this on a daily chart. Let's start there and then we'll go down to a smaller time frame, because if you're intraday or in the middle of a day, you're going to want to see what does the price action do during that day. So I'm looking here, starting at where the current price is. I'm looking to see where does price go down and reverse. I see a place down here, this red candle where it went down, boop, made a don't, and it jumped up out of there. I want to make one comment though, that this is not just a hard line, even though this says 431.36. I'm looking at SPY. This is not a hard line. Anytime you see support and resistance, these are in zones. There may be a plus or minus 3, plus or minus 4. Bigger stocks like SPX, it may be plus or minus 10. There's a little room here, okay? I do notice one thing here. I'm going to just mark it. We'll talk about it in a second, but it's a gap here that is right below the between these 2 days, between 629 and 630. Sorry, there's a buyer's gap, which basically means it gapped up. This would then be a buyer's gap. Buyer's gap means that there's buyers hanging in here. Their price got skipped over. So if the price comes down back into here, you're going to have buyers sitting here. So the price may come down into 440. It may be a buyer who has an order in for 440 and it says, oop, my order's here, and it may hit that order and then go back up, right? Gaps do like to fill completely, but they don't necessarily fill all at the same time. So don't feel like, it's a gap. It's going to fill all together, maybe and maybe not, right? Maybe not. This gap actually has widened from a gap that was back here on 616. There was a gap between 616 and 620 was also a gap. You see it filled a little bit. This gap here, let me make it a little bit bigger so you can see what I'm talking about. There we go. Get it a little bit bigger so everybody can see what we're talking about. So this gap here was from, like I said, 616, and it went down to as far as 437.46 on 620. Since then, some of the gap was filled over here by 629. On 629, see, there's a little bit here, but some of that gap was filled. That's what I was just saying, that just because the price goes into the gap doesn't mean it's going to fill it completely. It might, and it might not. All right, it went and filled some of it, but because there were sellers in here, over here, this is a seller's gap. Because there were sellers in here, then when this price went into it, some sellers kicked in. During the day, probably brought this price or had it to close here, but then on the next day, it gapped up. It gapped up. So now we have that gap to fill. We have the entire gap to fill from 438.05 all the way up to 441.45. It's a buyer's gap. There are buyers hanging out in there. So when the price does come in here, it may hit some buy orders and then go back up, come in, hit some buy orders and go back up. All right. It may go all the way through. Sometimes it does, but it's not like gonna happen every time. Don't want you thinking, oh, it's getting into the gap. It's going to feel. Well, maybe and maybe not. All right. Now I'm going to look for some resistance. I'm going to look for a place above this, which actually we're kind of in this the resistance area or the resistance zone right now. I'm going to mark this on the chart just so we'll know where we're going, where we're looking for as we go back, right? But you want to find where is there a place that's around 443 or above, where there was where the price went up and turned back around. We're at 443.78. We're scrolling back. Okay, so here we are, April. Around April, we do see some price action happening in this same 443.78 area. If we're looking for the resistance point here, though, I'm gonna grab this and move it up. It's really up here on this 418 candle. On the 418 candle right here. Is that 418? No, that's 421 actually. Then when they were all squunched together, they looked like it was 418. But we're really talking about this candle here, the 421 candle. You have the top of it. I generally go to the top of the box. Sometimes you can go to the top of the wick. It just lets you know that the price can go above, can go a little bit. Remember, I was talking about the plus or minus. I usually stop at the top of the box, which in this case was the open of this day. And then down here at the bottom is the close of this day. Okay, so what we see here is we've got resistance at 448.45. So when we go back to where our current price is, I'm scrolling us back to current price. Come on, come on, come on. There we are. Current price. We do have a resistance zone up here. I'm going to put a little, you can type words on it if you want, if you got the kind of time, you've got time to do typing, but sometimes I just mark it. You may want to, have your support be one color, have resistance be another color, but that lets you know that that's a resistance line. And then down here, we said this was a support area. All right, this is a support area. And then a lot of times in here, when I have a gap, I mark that too. If you've got time for that, if you're charting quickly, you just want to put the lines on there, letting you know where price could possibly go. All right. So this was the daily time frame, right? If you're looking to swing something over a couple days, you may want to know where did price go or where could price go. Let's put a little trend line on here too, because you do want to see what was the trend or what has the trend been. Let me change this off because I want to get more. I want to see more data, and I can't see as much data when I have it like that. But you notice that over the past several weeks, right, we've been in an uptrend. I'm going to put a trend line here on the overall trend, then I'll do a smaller one. But with a trend line, you want it to touch as many boxes as possible, as many days of data as possible. So here we go with the upward trend line here, letting you know that we've got some upward trend happening here, right? Let's go to the 15-minute time frame. That's the next one I go down. If I'm trading on a daily, if I'm trading something intraday, I will look at the 15-minute time frame. Look at the 15 minutes. And you want to pull in, I think you should incorporate the pre-market, post-market, especially on SPY, because SPY goes into the pre-market, post-market. I'm also going to look at SPX here in a minute. And with SPX, you don't, there is no pre-market and post-market, so you don't have to do that. But let me get this back onto the right tool. The right tool. Okay, this was the last day of, okay, well, that was interesting. There we go. The last day of trading was, well, maybe it wasn't. Let me go to, oh, there we go. This was the last day of trading. Let's get the right days here going. Move it, move it. I want to move it. Alrighty. Let's say the last couple of days, we've got some 15-minute zones here. We can look at 15-minute candles, which means that every candle here is a 15 minutes worth of data. Every candle is 15 minutes worth of data. I'm going to put some price lines in here, not the text. I want prices, not the text. I want prices. There we go. We got some resistance right up in here. 444.07. If we're looking on the 15-minute chart, you've got resistance there. We closed just below that but you've got resistance 444.07. Support areas, and you're looking for peaks and valleys. That's why a quick way to do it is you're looking for peaks and valleys. You're looking for peaks and valleys, places where it went down and turned around, places where it went up and turned around. That's what you're looking for. Back here, we've got a valley down here. We've got a place here where price stopped and turned around. There's one here. You know, you can really almost go to town with these lines. For me, I can't overload my chart because it gets distracting, and that may be the same for you too. It's really going to matter what time frame you're trading. If you're trading swing trading, you're going to want the daily chart. That should carry more weight, daily and weekly chart. If you're trading intraday, which as a seller, many times we trade just for the day, then you want to look at the 15-minute and the 5-minute chart, and you want to put on support, resistance, knowing that they are zones, right? The support and resistance is a zone. It is not just one hard line, even though you're putting a line here to let you know, but you need to remember in your mind that this is a zone. All right. That's what I feel like will be a quick way to do support and resistance. Let's look real quick. SPX looks very similar to SPY because it is the baby. So if you're trading SPX during the day, and for us sellers, we have a strategy that we use that only requires us to be in the trade for a couple of hours, 2 hours, 3 hours max. And as sellers, we want time decay, so that works very well for us. So we're looking then at shorter term, time frames and shorter term support and resistance areas. So we've got one here where price was there and kind of hovered a bit. Remember I talked about those gaps a little bit earlier. There's a gap from that Thursday. I think this is Friday to Monday or Thursday to Friday. It didn't really do much on Monday. This was the holiday. But there's a buyer's gap between Thursday to Friday here. Oh, all the days. It says right down here Thursday. You think I just read it, right? But then you've got some support areas. And again, you could take yourself and go line crazy. But you really want to have the lines for the day. If you're trading just for the day, you want to look and see what did price do today, right? Especially when you're a seller, you're looking for support and resistance zones, areas where price will not return to or won't go again. You're starting off with a higher time frame. If you're swinging it day to day, you're going down to 15 and even to the 5-minute chart if you're trading just for shorter periods of time. Alrighty, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'm Arlissa, Educator2Trader, and I am an option sellers coach. But options is such a vast subject. But trading options as a seller is a different lane. If y'all are buying, somebody's got to be selling, and that would be me and my community. You can find me here. Subscribe to the channel, and or all other places on social media at Educator2Trader. Alrighty, bye. Real quick, I just wanted to come on. This is Arlissa, Educator2Trader. Wanted to come on and tell you and ask you, I guess, to like and subscribe to the channel. If you like the content that I create and I'm, posting regularly, then go ahead and subscribe. That way you won't miss anything and you can be a part of all that we're doing here. I'm a coach to sellers. I'm an option sellers coach. If that's a vein that you don't know anything about or you want to know more about, then go ahead, subscribe and check us out all the time. All right. Thank y'all. I appreciate it.